Oh, get ready for some Ghost to Ghost AM. Dave Plouffe lives
Part
among the
two.
creatures. Yes, part two, 1997. Here we go.
Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Late Late Horror Show channel. It's Paranormal to the Night. It's Remembering Art Bell. It's all kinds of stuff, Dave. What's going on there? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy Halloween to everybody. This is so surreal, just like it used to be with, Art Bell the night or two before Halloween telling ghost stories.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this was right on Halloween. The part one was, I think, the night before. Then the second part, which actually is way better than the first part. Lot better stories. But yeah, this is going to be great. So yes, everybody welcome. Make sure you give a thumbs up. Hit that bell icon and make sure you hit the top part of the bell icon because it says everything. Again, I think it's so ridiculous that you hit the bell icon and you have three choices, Dave. You can choose to get notified for everything, or some, or none. Who's going to subscribe and not want anything anyways, whatever. So yes, we are going to be talking paranormal. Hey to everybody in the chat. Sweet Indigo is here, Dave.
That's awesome.
There's a dog barking too.
It's not
Sherry.
me. I have a cat.
I know that's not Bo.
You feed cat dog food?
Dog out in the hall. Sherry Walder, Black Roses, what's going on? Sweet Indigo, Connie Clary, Willie Abe, Dave Plouffe. Yes. What is it? Laura Branigan lives among the creatures of the night.
Yes, because he would always play it during this time, and that was one of my favorite songs from Laura Branigan.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
And Art Bell too. Always played that. That's right. So who else is here? Rick
had a new first-time person, Rick Fletcher. Welcome to the program.
Welcome.
And Willie Abe, of course. Sherry.
WWM. Vicky Alcorn. Kevin Muser. And Ed Stathis. And MOR has just arrived. So awesome. Listen, we're going to get into some deep stuff. Oh, go ahead, Dave. What are you going to say?
I was just going to say hello to Connie again because she deserves another hello.
Yeah, hello again. Aloha, Black Roses, says Sherry. Aloha. Sherry Walder, good to have you. I think new. Good to have you here. Have you been here before? I don't know. Anyways, we're going to talk Art Bell. We've been doing this. This is stream number 10 of Remembering Art Bell, the late, great Art Bell. Not that we need to rehash it all the time, but Dave, go ahead. Art Bell.
Right. I was just going to say there's probably only 876 Remembering Art Bells to come. But, I'm excited to do each and every one of these with you because of such the impact that Art Bell has left on us. This was a person that we stayed up overnight to listen to and had a great voice and had great topics and had great co-hosts. And it was just, it's very comforting for us to talk about Art Bell. And particularly with the paranormal and especially with ghosts this time of year, you can't go wrong.
Oh, yeah. It was such an impact on my life and, where I went with everything. That's why I'm into the paranormal now. I mean, I was always into the paranormal, but it didn't really hit until I heard that episode that one night where he went off air, the Area 51 caller, the frantic Area 51 caller, and from there I was hooked. So to do this show, which about 8 years ago I wanted to do a Art Bell podcast because he was still alive. He still wanted to do shows, and I was going to go over the night's show, but that kind of fell through, like, you know. But now we have this, and we could remember Art Bell and all the shows that. So we're going to talk ghost stories, and this is a particularly good ghost to ghost, in my opinion. There are some good stories.
I was
And
surprised there were very few stories about Ouija boards in this episode.
yes, but lots of something else that I want to talk about real quick here. Have a good night, kids. Babysit Neek, Sherry Walder. Okay, the hugs and kisses back. Yeah.
Don't answer the phone.
WWM, don't leave them alone. Yeah, what is it? Halloween 1978. Babysitter. Sherry Walder's the babysitter. Anyways,
Well, what's the
WWM.
movie that we saw with the babysitter where the kids were upstairs and she was told to run out of the house? It was the girl who actually starred in a Seinfeld episode.
When a Stranger Calls?
When a Stranger Calls.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like,
such a great film.
oh yeah. Carol Kane. Yes. Yeah. WWM. Yes, the Halloween costume party. It was a last minute decision to turn it to a members only. We had fun for 2 hours. Kathy, WWM, lots of people were there. It's there for members to check out. It's just a different kind of hangout, you know. So there are going to be more streams down the line where it's just members only. But anyways, let's get to remembering this show. And let me ask you a question, Dave.
All right.
I noticed something in this episode of Ghost to Ghost, and it was, love that movie, Putting It On, Sherry Walder. While you're watching the kids, oh boy, don't ask for trouble, Sherry. But anyways, there are lots of ghost stories in this episode, this episode of Ghost to Ghost, where all of the ghosts that are being seen are lighting up cigarettes. Did you notice that?
I noticed a few of the people telling the story had lit cigarettes, and maybe that's why Art liked him so much, because he was a chain smoker.
Not only did a lot of these stories have the caller saying, well, yeah, I was hanging out here and, you know, I lit up a cigarette, but the ghosts actually were lighting up cigarettes too. If you remember one of the later ones where the usher that fell, you know, he's the old usher that he lit up a cigarette. There was another ghost that lit up a cigarette. I'm like going, what the? Can you imagine dying and still having to? Where does he go? To the store? Ghost store for cigarettes?
I would hope you would have an eternal supply,
right,
which would be great health-wise and money-wise. But that particular segment was so great, and we will talk about that later.
Yeah.
Before we
Sir Graves, 56. Hello from Detroit, Michigan. What's the horror host name? Sir Graves Ghastly or something like that? Okay, so maybe taken after that there. But good to see you. Good to have you. And I heard you, Willie Abe. I saw the comments after the stream was over. So you have to show up live. So anyways.
And before we go into the show, you had some, I saw on one of the upcoming things, you had some new members join Patreon or join the channel.
Yes.
Do you want to talk just very briefly about how to join the channel?
Oh yeah. Again, see, I don't push myself enough, but if you do want to join the channel and support everything we do on the channel, the link above has a link to join the channel, or it's on the main page everywhere. It's everywhere. In the description, all that good stuff. It's pinned to the chat above. All you got to do is click it, open it up, and do that. Or Patreon. Both of them support, and you get movie nights every Friday. Most Fridays, sometimes I take a Friday off, but there are going to be a lot more upcoming streams where we hang out together. That'll be members only, and you'll see that on the main channel page too, like last night's Halloween party. And so there you go. And you can also check out Dave's channel in the description below. The Paranormal Gardener, he is the professor, the
New
baker.
video just went up today.
Oh yes, as always. Every Sunday night, right? Or every Sunday
I try to do
afternoon.
one every weekend. Last couple weeks, it's been heading into Monday and Tuesday because life has been busy.
Yeah.
But normally, I try to do it on Saturdays because that's the day everyone's gardening.
Yep.
But it is what it is. Almost a year doing this, so
Yeah, no, they're fun videos. I like Bo the cat walking around with you in the garden. I mean, nothing gets better than that. Undead Caesar, how you doing? So let's get this kicked off. I think there's a couple. I don't know if you want to talk about the facts one that came in. It was kind of stupid, but real quick, Art Bell reads the facts about a guy who he said he came back to his apartment or whatever, and there was blood in the shower. Okay. First of all, anyway, and then he looked up and there was a red handprint of blood, and he said he just left. Right.
he didn't know what to do, and he was asking for advice.
Yes, that's what he was doing. And Art Bell said, "Well, you should call 911," is what he said. So through the facts, because this is how it was back in '97. People would fax in, and at the moment he was like, he could have been on the line live saying, "Hey Art, what do I do?" But it's like, yeah, you call 911 if there's real blood on there or in the shower. That's just not even, it's not even a ghost story. It's anyways, whatever.
Yeah, it bothered me too, and it's just like it's like, hey, I can imagine if you're making a cake and things aren't turning out. Like, do you have any advice?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
pretty basic. Maybe you should call somebody.
There are 2 and 3. Start them young to be true horror geek. 2 and 3. Wow, that's early. But yeah, my kids both started very, very young with loving the old horror stuff and all that. But let me get to the next real story, and then you can get to the next one.
All right.
I think the next caller basically is this guy. He talks about his mother, who was a faith healer. I thought this was a pretty good one. Him and his wife.
Not just his wife, his quote unquote would be wife.
Yeah, yes, his would-be wife, his girlfriend,
Yeah.
whatever. And they're both at his mom's house. And they're laying, they're laying down one night sleeping, and there's and his mother was a faith healer. And towards the end, he starts to talk about how he's kind of, has that gift too, or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, they were sleeping at the house, and one night they woke up and he saw this green, isn't it what he said? A green man. What do I do? It's so hard for me to read my writing. I'm going to have to print a little more clearly from now on. But
I was almost thinking of typing my notes out and having it as a Word doc to the side.
Yeah,
but
Dave,
it was just a black mist.
Yeah, well, and he says it was a Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, a black mist turned into a kind of like a Grim Reaper. And he said, and this is the first story to get to it, he said at that moment, he seen it, he wasn't scared, and he lit up a cigarette and watched it. Those were his exact words. But he said his wife woke up sick.
Well, first of all, she woke up and she screamed.
Well, yeah, okay.
So, like, she had seen the Grim Reaper, but yeah, then right afterwards, she got really violently ill.
Yeah, and he took her to the hospital, and they said she either had the stomach flu or she had, something else going on. But long story short, basically her appendix burst, and she should have died, but they said because of medication that was in her that created a sac. The body's a very complicated thing, and she's lucky to be alive. But I think he was kind of coinciding the Grim Reaper coming to get her, maybe because of the illness that had come upon her, right? So that's what I take from it.
Yeah, but I do find it interesting that he just lit up a cigarette like it was nothing, and they were right by his bed. And no wonder we had so many house fires when we were younger.
Oh, geez. You know what? I remember a couple because my uncles would do the same thing in their bed, and they would fall asleep, and they had sheets where there were all these burnt holes, and I'm like going, first of all, it's just so disgusting anymore, but I don't even like to think of it. A ghost gets cigarettes from the ghostery store. Very
Black
good.
Roses has been hitting them out of the park. There was
Yeah.
one earlier. How do pumpkins quit smoking? They use a pumpkin patch.
Oh God. Oh jeez. Okay, Dave, you go to the next one, man.
All right. And before I do, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, because the thumbs
Yeah.
up always help us. So thank you for that. We're going to go to Samuel in Kauai when he was 6 years old. And
Yes.
there were a lot of stories that were like this, of people saying this happened when I was 4 or 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And a lot of them happened in the 1970s and 80s. But he was laying in bed, woke up at 4:07 a.m. I never knew the significance of that, but he woke up with an eerie feeling. And again, we have a Grim Reaper story where
Yeah.
there's this Grim Reaper, and he, as we all do when we're scared, those sheets are magical and they're going to protect us. He covers up with the sheets thinking they have supernatural powers. He closes his eyes, but then when he opens his eyes again, and this is the scary part.
Well, he feels a tingling energy and all that too. So anyways.
Yeah. And he's literally seeing the top of the hallway, he
ceiling.
says. And he is floating down
Yeah.
this hallway. And it reminded me of your grandparents' house. You know, that's the type of story that I would have expected to hear from that. And I forget how he got back into his body, back into the bed, if it was a scream or something like that. But Art Bell's comment was, man, you must have been a really bad 6-year-old.
That's what he kept telling the guy.
It
was kind of funny.
And I love the guy's response was, he goes, no. He goes, I was a good 6-year-old. I was a bad 20-year-old.
Right, exactly. No, I think what was interesting was the way he talked about this, like floating, like he closed his eyes, like you said at first, and he opened them and he was floating and saw the ceiling of the hallway that was leading into the living room area. He said he closed them again, and the next thing he knew, he was laid down on the floor in the living room, and next to the coffee table or whatever. And exactly passing above him, floating, closed eyes again, laying on the floor in the living room. And then he decided not to do anything, and he slept under the coffee table the rest of the night, which makes you wonder, like, what went on there? What's that all about? Like, I can see astral traveling, or I can see, I don't know. How did he physically get there? You know what I'm saying? That's the weird part. I would expect the end of the story to be he was back in his bed because all of this was just going on with, or whatever, but it's strange that he was still out there when he woke up. But anyways, that's what made the story so interesting, So yeah, anyways, Matt Maddox is here. What's going on? Okay, really.
Sherry Walter is now leaving the room for real.
Okay, that's good to know, Sherry. Oh boy, I don't think you are. Anyways, because there's a really good story coming up next about a voodoo queen.
It is, and it's one of the ones that I remember the most.
Yeah.
Not only just in the story itself, but he is on a later episode of Ghost to Ghost.
Oh yeah. That's right. Travis DeLuca sounds like sleepwalking. Well, again, when it comes to kids, I mean, that's a very vivid story. He said he wasn't sleeping. He remembers it. He was up. So there are.
But I'll tell you, if I'm floating down the hallway, I'm going to start kicking and screaming. Because that is so, and especially at 6 years old, that is so scary.
Yeah, but it depends. I mean, could he control himself? Anyways, we're getting way too deep into one story, but it's just a really interesting story, that's for sure. And you can go many different directions. Do you believe him? Was it sleepwalking? What was it? But anyways, the next one involves Marie Laveau, and this is a real woman in New Orleans. She was a voodoo queen, a real voodoo queen. From 1801 to 1881, she lived. And Marie Laveau plays a part in the story. A man he called in from New Orleans, and he went out with his friends to a play involving one of his friends who I think was dressed up and playing the character of Marie Laveau. I think, maybe not. Anyways, they went to a play, but he found a picture of a girl who played Marie Laveau. And where did he find that picture, Dave? Do you remember?
I don't remember where he found it, but I remember he put it like right above or right opposite the TV screen.
Yes.
So he could see the reflection of it.
Yeah, he was he was getting out of bed as he was woken up late in the night, and he said he could see on the reflection on his TV a reflection of this scary little being or whatever, an image, and it was 6 inches tall. He said it was around 6 inches, and he started piecing things together after a while. What he said, it was a mad image. I mean, kind of an interesting way to describe it, but it was a mad image, Dave. It was angry. Very much so, I guess. But then he said, after he got up there and he looked back, because he noticed that where he put the picture of her, like Dave just said, maybe reflecting off and it disappeared. But then later on, the reflection came back and moved. But what he did was he just moved the picture to another spot, and it went away. Now, does that scare you? I mean, I don't know.
No, but this is what is so classic about Art Bell is he takes an average call like this because, first of all, the guy had a great radio voice.
Yes.
A great story. But then Art Bell wanted it to go into a different direction.
That was funny.
The guy's all, she woke me up, and he's all, hey, right? And he's all like, did she wake you up like you have an urge for a cigarette and you never smoked before? And it was just that, to me, really made that call special.
Yeah, Art Bell, because when he starts off to talk about Marie Laveau, he's talking about her like, this involves something of like a dream of Marie Laveau, and Art Bell's expecting her to come and embrace him in a ghostly way. It wasn't like that at all, and he was disappointed at the end. But hey, Derek Galloway, I'm just getting in from work. What did I miss? Southern Cook Drinker Lori. We're just getting into the show too, so lots of stories to talk about yet.
And Ed Stathis is now recharged and back with us. Hello, Ed.
Oh, good. Number 45. Yeah, please hit that thumbs up button. Let's see how many thumbs up buttons, not thumbs up buttons, but thumbs up we can get. Listen, today's one of those days, Dave. I don't know. I'm a little
I guarantee you, at the end of the show, we're going to have one thumbs up button.
Oh, my God. Oh, I snorted, too. Listen, the party last night that we had was so wild. It's kind of a hangover. I don't know.
I got you.
Yeah, even though I don't drink, just this hangover on candy. As I eat some of me and Dave both, we're just going to munch on candy corn forever. Yeah. He's got the regular kind. I got the harvest kind. But, yeah, here we go. Oh, and I did post for Thursday night's game night. Let's stump Paul Ham. So I even got a really cool image of a stump with Paul Ham's name on it. And it looks kind of cool. But anyways.
Yeah, are these questions open to everyone, or are you just doing?
I'll describe what's going on Thursday. I'm going to surprise everybody and Paul Ham. I know you're looking at me, Paul Ham. You're trying to get some quick info. It's not going to work. So, Dave, you want to go to the next guy in Florida?
Yeah, we're going to go to Eric in Gulfport, Florida. Yeah. And again, this is a story that happened many, many years ago. Of course, 1977, which was only 20 years earlier in 1997 when this Ghost to Ghost took place. But Eric had his first job working at O'Hare Airport, which I think is a really cool thing to, get to go to work at an airport. And
Yeah.
I don't know what he did. I imagine him chucking some luggage around. But it's Halloween night, and he gets out of work early. And as most of us do, first time having a job, first time living outside of home, we're living with a bunch of guys.
Yeah, 4 roommates.
4 roommates, all
Who are
men.
all dabbling in the occult, by the way. But
I think that was on the application that they had to check. Do you dabble in occult? Yes.
yeah.
But they didn't want any women around because they didn't want to pick up their clothes, and they didn't want to have to watch their language or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then he gets home early and finds that they are down in the basement. And of this particular house that had been like broken up into apartments, the basement was like gigantic, which I thought was really, really cool. And one of the things that I love about old buildings is that, the spaces were so different.
I love that I knew you were going to touch on that, because when I heard the story, I was focusing on a little bit on how he was describing the architecture of the building.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about how it's L-shaped, which means it's probably at the corner of a street, and it's an L-shaped type building, which makes it a little bit different architecturally. And in their side, they had access, I think, solely to the basement, is what they said. But
Okay.
yeah, it's funny that you mentioned it. I knew Dave was going to say something about the architecture, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, and side note here, when I was working at LACMA, we also owned the old May Company that was on the corner of Wilshire and Fairfax. And down in the basement was the creepiest place I'd ever been.
Yeah.
And you could literally, they would drive delivery trucks underneath this shopping mall place, but it was the single building, the May Company. And they would unload, and they had loading docks, and it was just so creepy down there. It was the only place I was actually really scared. So,
wow. Okay.
yeah. And then the elevators were old time elevators where you slam the doors closed and manually had to lift the elevator. It was really neat. Anyway, back to Eric. He comes home, and his friends are down in the basement, and they're doing a summoning.
Yeah.
And Art's all, why didn't you leave? And why aren't you scared? And
well, they made a circle of sand around their area.
Protection. Yeah. But Art was worried that Eric was going to wake up one day and they're going to question, like, why aren't you one of us? You could have joined us, but you didn't.
Wasn't it the call where he kept pushing that he was Art was saying he's going to go to hell and stuff like that, and this guy kept reaffirming him that no, I believe in my faith will, so I'm not going there. Isn't this the call?
I think it may have been. I did not write that down. But I do remember him saying that. So of course Eric, as these guys are busy and they're chanting, asks for a sign.
Yeah, if there is a devil, give us a sign, he says.
And a sign appears by a radio turning on that's in a footlocker.
World War I, footlocker.
And again, I'm like, are you confusing World War I with World War II?
Yeah.
But the song that comes on the radio, which they can't get to because it's sealed with super glue, is Devil Woman.
Yep, Devil. Wait, no. How's that?
I can't sing it.
Devil Woman. Is that it? No. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But he said the radio was involved in a fire too. Yeah. And for some reason, his friend stuck it in this suitcase, World War I suitcase, or luggage, or footlocker. Footlocker is what. And nobody could open it up because I guess the key was broken off into it too. So listen, this is a perfectly set up story, Dave.
It is.
Yeah, which makes you wonder about this guy's story, but it was a very interesting one. I don't know.
It was a favorite. However, my question was, have you ever asked for a sign, whether from up above or down below?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Stelveri, hello, this is Zeusia. Zeusia K, what happened? You changed your... Oh, You trying to? What's going on there? Anyways, good to see you, Zusia. Have I ever asked for a sign? I'm trying to think again.
In
I
like
think,
whether you're doing a Ouija or whether you're doing something else.
oh yes, I mean without a doubt, I've done the whole. We've talked about the Ouija story that I did with my brothers, and we asked for a sign, and we got one, and something talked back to us, and the minute it started to get a little weird, we stopped and just went out and started to play and stuff like that. But that was a weird experience. But I also asked for some kind of sign when my grandmother died, and again, that's the memory I got of when I had a dream where she was in my dream, sitting in the manor, and she told me everything will be all right and all this, and it just made me feel good. My grandma, that's the one and only time in my entire life my grandmother has ever been in my dreams. You could say it's because something tragic happened, but no, it's a different kind of feeling. I don't know. I don't know what to say. There was something a little bit later on I was going to get into.
I just remember a couple episodes ago we did where this guy had a lightning strike hit, and he's all, "Show me again, God," and another lightning strike hit.
Oh God.
That was my favorite.
Yes. Sweet Indigo super chat. Thank you. Character holding their head in their hands, saying, "You're my number one." Sweet Indigo. Sweet Indigo was at the party last night. Had her orange hair and her orange shirt, all pumpkiny. Thank you, Sweet Indigo. Much appreciated. Much love to each and all of you guys and gals. Zusha, I guess I got to call you Stelveri now. I missed you guys, the dynamic duo. But yeah, there's something a little bit deeper I wanted to get into that almost relates to what we're talking about now, but we'll wait. Let's get to some ghost stories.
All right. We're going to go north to Alaska next, but the story happened in Florida.
Right. The woman, the lady in Connect, when she was 22 years old, or 22 years earlier, she was in Florida, right, Dave? Right?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen,
she was not living correctly. I just remember.
Yes, that's it. She lives in Connect presently, but in 1997, and she said 22 years ago, earlier, which meant around 1977. She was not living a good life, like Dave said. She kept bringing that up as if she could have been a woman of the night. She was beating around the bush. I don't know. She did talk about a mirror being above her bed, didn't she?
She did.
And I'm like,
Art Bell said, "Ain't nothing wrong with that."
Right. Art Bell did say that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Mirror above your bed. So I don't know if this woman thought like kissing was evil, or, I mean, you know what I'm saying? She was just living a bad life. I don't know.
Not living right.
Because later on she talks about faith and like God or something, and like that made her, she's better now or something. But
yeah,
so it's very, very weird. I don't know.
She brings up harlot later as well.
She does, and that's where I say she found her faith. So anyway, it involves, and this is a good story, you guys. This is a very cool, interesting story. It's a little far out, but so her father died Thanksgiving Eve, okay? And he had a pair of wooden shoes that she wanted really bad.
This made me laugh because I thought he was Dutch.
Right? I mean, exactly, right?
It's like, who has wooden shoes?
Who is it? Well, the Dutch. I don't know. Anyways, Mandy, what's going on? Good to see you in the chat. Vicky Alcorn. My chat is lagging. Sorry if you don't see it. I do see it. Thank you. Hopefully the stream's doing okay. So she wanted the wooden shoes, but her aunt got the shoes. Okay.
Yes.
Until her aunt passed away, anyways. And then her aunt, she gave her the shoes, or however. I mean, her aunt was dead, so she couldn't give her the shoes. But whether it was willed to her,
she got the shoes, though.
She got the shoes. Yeah, Dino, shut up and just get on with the story. she had a large mirror. Um, the house was haunted. There were things that went on at the house. Uh, and no, she went to a haunted house. And on her way out, because she still was a very evil woman, I guess, and she grabbed a plaster skull that was at the end of the haunted house.
Yeah, she wanted it.
Yeah, and if I don't say nothing, you chime in, Dave. You can interrupt me like I interrupt you. So she stole it, basically, and she took it home and she put it on an old TV that didn't work.
Not only that, okay, so she did like an altar thing, right? You got a mirror behind as well. You got the skull. You got shoes on either side. You've got flowers on either side of that. She had it all like laid out for us as what it looked like. But then,
like some kind of altar or something like that. Why would you put your grandfather's wooden shoes on each side of the skull? But she was an evil woman back then, Dave.
She wasn't living right.
Evil woman, yeah, devil woman. Anyways, go ahead.
Wait.
No, this is my story. Anyways, so she kept hearing this voice while she was Zusha. You see, you're getting me confused now, Stelveri. Super sticker, $3. Thank you. Hippo character in tactical gear. Those tactical flanking, maneuver, hand gestures, all that good stuff. Thank you very much for the super chat. It really helps to go keep us going into the next decade. So, or something like that. Yeah. Anyways, somebody came into the chat last night, Dave. Listen, I'm getting back to the story in a second. Yeah. Somebody came into the chat last night, the overnight, with the spooky stream, and it was a really good one. A lot of inner sanctum, a lot of good stuff. People loved it. Did great. I can't say enough about that stream last night, Dave. We should throw a party just for that stream. But anyways, Chatter came and he goes, man, this is awesome. Is this going to stay up? Is this for Halloween? How often do you do this? And Stairpike goes, it's every night forever. He said, and I'm like going, forever. That's really extending things, but I got you. Yeah, it's every night.
Well, when you're as old as Stairpike is.
Forever.
Forever may only be another decade.
Oh, no.
I think what Stairpike is 95, 98, something like that.
I thought he said 97 his last birthday.
All right.
I could be wrong.
I believe it. He's been around a while. It's great to hear him.
Oh, yeah. It's either 94 or 97. Listen, I don't know, whatever. But okay, so the woman, she stole the skull. It's in between the wooden shoes. She's sleeping on the bed and she starts hearing a voice and she goes, I wasn't waking up and I wasn't waking. And I'm like, oh, well, then how do you know you're hearing the voices? But anyways, eventually the voice wakes her up. Okay. And she woke and she saw, and this is the far out part, Dave, right? She wakes up and she sees that that skull that's made out of plaster, like paper mache, but somehow there's flames coming, shooting out the backside, like you would see on the back of a motorcycle gang, their leather jackets.
I actually thought of Clue with Madeline Kahn. Flames on the side of my head.
Flames on the side of my flame. Yeah, no. So flames are shooting out the side of the skull, and it's scorching her dad's shoes, the wooden shoes that are next to it, and she had a mirror behind it and some green crocheted thing. It's very odd, very weird. But she ends up running outside because she had a little baby at the time, I think. Didn't she say that? I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, you're right. And then she goes and gets a bucket of water and she runs in and throws it on that and runs back out. And the other weird thing is she sees two teenagers who are, I think she said they're like 18 or something like that, but they're teenagers, whatever. She told them, yeah, go in, look to see what happened. So they go walking in, and she said they ran out white as a ghost, scared to death over what they had just seen. And what they had just seen, she says, was the smoke. You know how smoke will, on the mirror behind it, the smoke left residue from, I guess, the fire, the smoke and all that. And she said, on the mirror, they said, it showed the shape of you sleeping in bed. That's a story.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so as much as it sounds very cool, it's a great story. You know, I can't, even in the paranormal universe, it's hard to understand how fiery flames were coming out of this skull that was plaster or paper mache or whatever in an unplugged TV, burning, scorching the wooden shoes. And then how it made an image of her on it just all sounds so outrageous. Paranormal. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
You know, first of all, don't throw water on an electrical fire.
Well, I think she said the TV was unplugged, but yes, never throw. And hey, Philip Blair, what's going on?
PSA.
Yeah.
She gets baptized in 1988, and then she gives also some information about, you know, speaking out to Harlot the Witch, which is an episode I've not heard of yet, or, you know, you briefly told me about it. Not sure if I'm up for listening to that, but
yeah, I did forget to say that she ended up calling or asking Art Bell about Harlot the Witch. She wanted to call in and talk to her that night because she's evidently a good woman now and she's reformed. And she wanted to tell her that anybody who's watched Harlot the Witch, she was a woman who called in. She was dedicated to Satan, and she even said in close your ears if anything disturbs you or anything like that. But she even said her unborn child was going to be taken by Satan, a servant of Satan. And Art Bell said, why? What do you mean? She goes, well, there are ways and things you can do to make sure that happens. Anyways, the woman wanted to call up and tell this woman, Harlot the Witch, that didn't happen, and her child is safe in the hands of God. And Art's just like, well, what do you mean? How do you know that? Because she assured me that there are ways of making sure that happened. But anyways, the woman called up and she wanted to tell Harlot the Witch that so that was the Harlot the Witch part of this story. Yeah. But it was a good call, interesting story, and lots to talk about there. So yeah.
Well, at this point too, Art Bell also talks about prophecy and Prophecy 2 and how great of an actor he thinks Christopher Walken is.
Christopher Walken, yeah. This is Nemo Cowbell. Yeah. What's going on in the chat? Oh, I love it when Stairpike is here. Yeah, he's great. On channel, need to get more paranormal, Derek Galloway. Listen, I try as often as possible. I am having Gary Wayne back on to talk about his second book. Finally, after, oh my God, has it been 10 years? The first book came out, but Gary Wayne, I'm going to get into some deep conversation with him on November 8th. Listen, you do a show with him, man, it goes viral instantly. Everybody is looking for Gary Wayne stuff, and he just released his book, and I will be one of the first to talk to him about that book. So, yeah, there you go. Horror Junkie for Life. What is this about? More cowbell. Christopher Walken, you know. This is by far the best old time radio show, in my opinion, Derek Galloway. Derek, are you being a smart aleck? What are you talking about? This ain't old time radio. Old time radio show? You mean channel? Because listen, Derek.
Yeah, he meant channel.
Okay, okay. Derek, thank you. I just want to. Sometimes I don't know, man.
Which actually, you and I haven't ever talked about old time radio on Sunday night.
Yeah, we haven't. It's very strange, but we've kind of
one day
we've kind of gone along this paranormal journey since we started. Yeah, I don't know what this means. Climbed along the ladder of this. I don't know. Your channel is great. Thank you, Derek Alley. Okay, so next one, Dave.
Sherry in Kansas City.
Oh yeah,
Sherry's not living a good life either. She's shacking up with a congressman. You know, good for Sherry. And
what's the harlots? Speaking of,
this congressman though owns this really big house, and she wakes up one night and she hears a knocking from the closet.
Well, Yeah, I mean, he worked on this house. It's a big house.
Right.
He built this big bedroom, and she made sure she mentioned the whole length of the one wall was this like kind of huge closet area, and go on. Yeah, this is a good one. I like this for some reason.
I do like it as well.
Spooky.
And all of a sudden, the closet door opens, which really bothered me because we should be the only
Yeah.
ones that open the closet doors. Otherwise, if it's open, hey,
Yeah.
free game. But nothing from the inside should open a closet door.
No.
And out pops this head of a person, and it was female, and they made eye contact. She says we were staring at each other eye to eye,
Yep.
and then she goes back into the closet.
Well, there was knocking that woke her up out of her sleep. So, you think the knocking, then, the closet thing. And the way she described it too, where, slowly, she saw this head just creep out, and it was a female with a head popped out, short brown hair in a dress. And it just was weird. But go ahead, Dave. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm waiting for you to tap that off. But, anyway, she wakes up the boyfriend, and she's all like, "What the heck's going on? Hey, Ginger can come back at any time for Sunday.
I'm talking.
You want to do Giala, that's okay."
I'm talking to my daughter. Go. Continue the story.
So, anyway, it's, basically he wakes up, says, "Oh, don't worry about her. She like died, years ago. Her dad or grandfather had originally built the house, and she was married off, but her husband died and she committed suicide."
Yeah,
So,
I think
come back.
I think the scariest part of that too was that when the boyfriend said that, oh yeah, that's just that, and he went on to describe, the house was built by the father, and she had a man, and he wanted to marry, and anyways,
Oh, you know what? I can't read my writing either. He didn't die. He left her.
yes, he left her, and she was heartbroken, and she decided to commit suicide in the attic, and which they didn't say exactly why, but suicide in the attic, you're thinking hanging, whatever. But he said when he built it, I thought it was cool that he said when he built the closet, she came and he saw her walk into the closet as if she was coming down from the attic area and going into the closet. It's just funny. So I don't know. But yeah, that was a very good one. I thought that was really, really good.
Yeah, and it made me laugh a little bit because Sherry ended up going like, "Look, this is too weird. I'm out of here," and she broke up with him and left.
Yeah.
Good for Sherry.
Yeah. Good for Sherry is right. Yeah, she did make that point. And Bolt Neck, I like that name. That's a good name. Bolt Neck, like Frankenstein, as the Avatar shows. That is a mask of one handsome fella in the back over there. Yeah, that's you, Bolt Neck, right there. He's glowing red because of the light, but yeah, I like it, Bolt Neck. Let's see. Dino, why are my questions being deleted? Willie Abe. Willie Abe, what are you talking about? I have no idea. Does anybody notice if I don't see them being deleted? Willie Abe, what you have some issues, I think, with your stream all the time. I remember months ago when you were around too, you were saying the same thing. I don't see nothing deleted in the chat, nothing at all. That's the only time I'm going to bring it up. So you trust me or you don't. But this has been an issue in the past. I don't know why you say that all the time, but Willie Abe, nobody's deleting anything from you. And I am looking right now and I can see everything as I'm the channel owner. So just letting you know, Willie Abe, I appreciate you being on the channel all the time and coming back here and all that. So anyways, that's all I got to say. So next story and nice bolt neck.
Well, the next story, I'm actually going to start this one off because it's in Vancouver, Canada, and it deals with voodoo, and it also deals with real estate where this guy buys a house and the old owner comes back and wants to buy it back from him.
Oh, architecture again. You're stealing this story because of the architecture.
I am.
Yeah. 1920s house. Yeah.
And basically the family there had practiced voodoo and it wasn't safe, and strange things happened, and they ended up having Father Malachi Martin come over, and he said, I am not touching this house.
Father Malachi Martin didn't come over? Did I miss that? Seriously?
No, but a priest
Okay,
came
gee.
over to bless the house.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay. Yeah, no. That's it? No, three generations. Three generations. Yeah. He didn't want to give the house back to the guy. There were three generations of voodoo practitioners throughout the family. And basically, a lot happened. It was just a paranormal house. And things happened here or there. And that's it. So,
Well, weird stuff like crosses falling to the floor.
yeah.
And they shouldn't be falling to the floor. If crosses ever fell in my home,
Yeah.
I'm out of here. I got to go,
Well, you got to leave them upside down like me. The weight distributes better that way.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm joking. You don't put
Well,
your
also,
upside down.
they talked about how there was, like, when they were laying down, they would feel pressure. And the last priest kept apologizing because when he got to the house, he felt evil and wouldn't even go into the house. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The paranormal activity ended up ceasing as they got older, they said. And then
Yep.
Art commented back about how younger kids and especially teenage girls, they harness this power that seems to attract that entity, those types of entities.
Yes. Poltergeist activity or whatever. Open a doorway for them to come in. Come in. Okay. So the next one is going to be about Fred. Fred the caller. He says, I got ghost stories. And I guess his mom, but this isn't a very good one, but anyways, his mom moved out of the house and he was just back from Vietnam. This was 1972. And he had the whole house to himself. There was a story before that. He talked about his mom and I don't know if her husband died or left her or something like that, Dave.
He died.
He died. Okay, so he passed on and she ended up leaving and moving out. So he had the house to himself. And I love how he said, I went and took the big back bedroom. It was great. I had all the room to myself. And I'm like, yeah, good for you. But one night he was back there sleeping and he started hearing labored breathing, like very, like, yeah. The Art Bell did that.
Art Bell did it. I loved it. It was so great.
At first, I'm like going, wait, what the hell's going? Is that him or? And then I, quickly figured out Art Bell's doing that, trying to make a funny. And then he said the room got darker and darker, and there was a pressure on his body, and that pushed him into the mattress. And he left and never really ever went back into that room. Basically, they stayed there at the house, and people had come to visit. And would you let anybody go like sleep in that room? I mean, I guess if that's the only extra bedroom,
like them, because he did. Like, I wrote down that the other people who slept in this room, one was a niece. I probably wouldn't let her sleep in there, but the in-law slept in there. Why not?
Exactly. It was kind of funny, but I mean, basically that's the story. It's a weird thing. Anytime you get, and these stories are you hear them all the time where they sense something and something kind of sits on their chest or pushes them down. What that's from, who knows? Whether it's actually a ghostly entity or physical entity pushing on you. Whether it's some type of paralysis that causes pressure, who knows? I don't know, but a lot of people talk about it, and but that's the story. So yeah.
One thing I did want to bring up with that, because they did say that when they first bought the house, they had it blessed by a priest. Have you ever had a house blessed by a priest? because I think the next time I move, I may just do this. And I don't know if anyone in chat has ever had, like, you call up the local parish and
Yeah.
just say, hi, I'd like, someone to
I
come over
think,
and bless my house.
yeah, I think you can call up a church and ask a priest. I think it's something throughout, at least the Catholic religion that I know of, that you can approach a priest and ask them to bless your home. And uh, unless something's changed, I think they would do that, depending on the circumstances. But would you? I've never had a need to really bless. Listen, my grandparents probably should have blessed many homes, but I really haven't had the need to. But anyways, I don't know. It's a good point, Dave. That's for sure. I can't believe it's an hour already. We're gonna have to make sure we hit some of the good ones. I did star a couple good ones, Dave.
All right.
So
Do you want to go ahead and do one that
well,
you'd
I'm
like?
trying to think. I did think that the woman, the next one was kind of cool. So I'll get through that real quick.
All
where
right.
a woman called in, and she was with 5 other girls or 4 other girlfriends. They were like right out of college or something like that. And
visiting Palm Springs.
Palm Springs, there you go. And they were driving in it through the desert. They knew they were going through a long stretch of like road, and they didn't have any cell phone service either. So, and I'm thinking,
I wouldn't expect either, because it was 1981.
Well, no, 1997.
No, 1981 is when the story took place. She had just graduated from high school, and
this was a
graduation trip.
Yes. Okay, there you go. Gotcha. 1981. So they must have been rich. Well, I guess going to Palm Springs, okay. So maybe they just had money. I don't know. Cell service. Anyways, in 81. But so they're driving along the road, and they all of a sudden they see this woman walking on the side of the road. Okay. And so they all start waking up, they're sleeping in the back, they're waking up and all that. And hey, look at that. So all these girls are, looking at her, and then they drive up, and when they see the woman, they notice that she's all white. Her face is white. And, she's holding a leash to a dog who I guess that dog's white too. Is that what she said?
I have it written down. White dog, white hair, white robe, white person.
Yes, everything's white and
white eyes.
Yes. And she said when they passed her, it turned around and gave an evil look to where they looked, and they said, this is evil. This is not good. This is a demon or evil or something. I don't know.
And she twisted unnaturally, they said.
Her head.
Like furthermore than they. Oh my gosh, that was so great.
That's when Art Bell said The Exorcist, because twisting her head all the way around. But they said that's it. I mean, she turned around. They kept on going their way, and that's a story. That's an experience they had. I don't know what you would make of that. There are ghostly specters on the side of the road all the time that people say. Go ahead, Dave.
Having traveled roads like that a lot, my relatives lived in Arizona, so basically past Palm Springs on the 10 freeway, there is nothing for miles and miles and miles. Same thing going to Salt Lake City, going to Las Vegas, and it is kind of that creepy stretch of road, especially when you're traveling at night, to beat the heat.
Yeah.
Which is, and a lot of times I'll do it just to beat the traffic, and it is very scary because there's so much darkness out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, definitely. Next one, anything stand out to you for the next story?
Yes.
Okay.
But I did want to
go ahead.
A question to you.
Yes.
That Art Bell raised a couple of times. If you woke up and you were dead and you became a ghost.
Oh, I have that on here, but go ahead. Yeah.
What would you do?
It's interesting because later on in the show, Art did pose this question, and I thought it was an interesting question to give to somebody. And somebody said, I think the person he even posed it to, the one person said, well, listen, I know I'm going, whatever. That's not going to happen to me. He goes, no, that's not what I said. I said, what if it clearly happened and you woke up and you couldn't physically interact with, except for ghostly ways, and stuff like that. So, and one woman called up and said, she did answer it, and she said, well, I would try moving things around and doing what I could to make people know that I'm still around. You know what I mean? But I get what Art was saying. It's like, it's not the whole question, what if you had the power of invisibility or something like that, because that's totally different. You can interact, touch. But if you were truly a ghost, what would I do? First of all, I think I'd be sitting there wondering quite some time, like, how long is this going to last? You know what I mean? Like, if I knew I had a certain amount of time and then I would eventually go to where I needed to go, that's a different story. But I definitely, Dave, I would roam the earth. Well, first I would maybe stick around. It depends when you died, right, Dave, too? I mean, is this when I'm old and nobody's really around? Or is my grandkids around? Is there, I'd like to hang around there a little bit and stuff. But I'd also like to travel the world and see, the world, and if unencumbered, I know you can't interact with people in the way that you want, but, free access to just see the whole world. And I think I would do that. And I would probably test out and tinker around with, other things like, can I leave this earth? And like, can you fly? Can you just walk? Is time and space irrelevant? Can I go to Jupiter a second, or not Jupiter? That's a gas giant, but you know what I'm saying? The moon or Mars, maybe not Jupiter.
Yeah, I would not want to leave the planet at all. I'm totally satisfied here. Maybe once we get colonies on Mars or the moon or whatever, yeah, then I'll, take a ride.
Well, they're said to be colonies, or at least structures left behind.
That's true. For me, first thing I'm going to do is head to Area 51. But like you, I think there is so much fun in the idea of traveling.
Yeah.
The lady mentioned that she wanted to be a fly on the wall of the White House, and I thought that was such a great story. I mean, we could find out all the secrets of the White House. We could go into the secret bunkers and hang out in Congress and just see the age of like our country and everything like that.
The things you can do. Yeah. I mean, the place you can go and hang out and stuff. Yeah, I get it.
I mean, that's what I would probably end up in New England somewhere, just cruising through an antique store or whatever, as a ghost. But then I'd probably jump aboard a ship like, the Queen Elizabeth II and head off to England and see what the old town is like and visit the castles. And and would there be other ghosts that you could interact with? And
well, see, that's another question too. I mean, you throw that in there, I think that makes it even, more interesting. I would love to travel with people unencumbered, and that's, man, that's good. That could make for a great story. Anyways, J.O.B. I didn't say hi to you. Ryan79, good to see you. Ed Stathis says, I'm certain I saw a ghost ship when I was in the Navy. We were in the Bermuda Triangle too. Ed Stathis, that's cool. And
I would be interested in knowing what kind of ship that you saw, if it was a modern ship or if it was like the Mary Celeste type of ship.
Yes, tell us what kind of ship you did see, Ed, because I would think Navy. So it could have been a World War II type warship, or let us know in the chat. And also, what would you spy on, says Philip Blair? Would you spy on a meeting about UFOs? Be honest. What you say? Be honest, like we would lie about that. Listen, if I knew a big meeting was coming up and I was a ghost, and I could listen, I'll be back later, guys. I'm going over to the UFO meeting. I'm gonna go into the rooms where maybe one or two generals might be talking and checking on them and see if they lie when they come out. No, listen, I'm all over that. Yes, you better believe it. And then somehow I'd try to have to get a hold of somebody on the other side here. And see, I think that's something to really push at too. But anyways, yeah, it's an interesting thing. We could talk for hours on that. What story do we do next?
Can we jump ahead a couple and go to?
Oh, anywhere you want.
So you know what? Why don't we do the one that you wanted to talk about with the guy smoking up in the balcony? Because that was my favorite, and they were playing laser tag in the old theater.
Yes. Let me see if I got that. Oh God, let me find it real quick. Flat, Mr. Change. Anything else to say? I'm trying to look for it. Oh my gosh.
I'll just talk real quick then about Connie in Redding, California. She moved in with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend's like father or grandfather had originally owned the house but died in it. And so the new girlfriend basically brings her daughter to live with them, and the daughter wakes up and sees that old guy like sitting in a recliner, and he talks to the little girl and says, hey, everything's okay, type of thing. And she wakes up and she tells her mom and the boyfriend that she had this dream, and she described grandfather perfectly. And then the woman talks about her being pregnant about 6 months later, and she hears from a nap that the recliner reclining and coming back up with the foot panel going in and out.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool story where the girl actually gets up in bed and sees the old man in the chair. It says, "It's okay, go to sleep," And she described him to a T. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, no, like a pirate's frigate. Yeah, listen, my notes are so bad and everywhere. I did find it though, but there are some. Man, an hour and a half ain't enough time to talk about a show.
No, it really isn't.
Because I want you talk next. I want you to talk about the Cain story, the old journal.
Oh, okay.
Since you're kind of the professor, I think it's apropos to talking about an ancient journal. But anyway, yes, there was a man, Tom, Flint, Michigan. He worked at Capitol Theater up there, and what a fun place to work at, right? It's a known place, even to this day. It's known to be haunted. I think it's still there. I think so. It's a known haunted place, and supposedly there's 3 ghosts that they talk about all the time. And one night after closing, they played laser tag, and they were playing laser tag, and I thought that was kind of cool. Boy, that had to be the 80s, right? So yeah.
How fun would that be in a large abandoned theater?
Oh gosh, that would be so awesome, man. But yeah, they would see the frequently figures. I mean, this isn't really, there's not a whole lot to talk about, but when they were playing laser tag the one night, he started hearing like breathing behind him and footsteps walking as he was going after another person, trying to find the other people to shoot laser tag. And then he said he started to approach like where I guess the seating area is or whatever. It got darker and darker, and he kept stopping too to make sure nobody was going to bump into him, like there wasn't nobody there, and that's when he looked over and he saw, he turned the flashlight on over there, and there was a guy standing there, and he was lighting up a cigarette. Yeah. Just lighting up a cigarette. And as soon as the light came on, he fell off of the wherever he was standing and down over, and he couldn't see, where
that bothered me so much that he basically fell over the balcony. Yeah. And I thought he like landed on the stage.
Yeah, no.
But when he shined his light down on the stage, there was nothing there.
Right. And supposedly this was an old usher that worked there, and he had died from falling off there, So, I mean, I take that more as maybe a residual thing, they see that guy there, off and on. And that, and there were other things that they said they seen. There was another like a security guard that I think roamed the theater or whatever, and they've seen him on occasion. I don't know if I'm missing really anything, but
I don't think so, but it reminded me a lot about Ghost Hunters, at least the early seasons, where they tended to visit a lot of theaters, and there was a lot of paranormal activity there. And I don't know if it was just because they had easier access to those locations, or they were just more because they were more theatrical, that they drew more energy.
Oh yeah, lots of people, lots of entertainment, lots of goings on. And then and they, a lot of people like to say that do paranormal investigations that places like that, just people tend to want to stick around to, a lot of memories and stuff that went on there.
Well, when I think of something like that, I always think it as something more comforting.
Yeah. Ed Sathis, it was super foggy out, and I was on night watch. I saw what I think were tattered sails and the bow's figure. The rest was obscure. Okay, so an old ship. That's cool stuff, man. I like that. Nalita Scaretta, what is going on? Good to see you. Like the Flying Dutchman, yeah. The audience back then must have been shocked seeing. Okay, anyways, yeah, let's get to. I thought that was a really cool story. Hopefully, you wrote down enough to talk about that. I think you did. The Cain story.
It was a story that bothered me a little bit, and it was, and you can please jump in. The idea that there was this guy and he was riding a horse, and he was a tall guy anyway, so he was like maybe 9 foot tall.
Yeah.
Riding this horse, and this figure comes out of the woods.
Yes.
And when they discussed the figure first, they kind of discussed it like a Bigfoot. I thought it was going to be a Bigfoot story.
Oh yeah.
This guy, and he was covered in hair and stuff, and he comes up and he starts talking to the guy on
spoke like a man though. Yeah.
on horseback, which to me, that if he spoke in English, how did he learn English? But he said that he was Cain from the story of Cain and Abel from the Bible.
Yeah.
And that his penalty was that he couldn't die.
Yeah.
That he was to roam the earth for eternity.
Yeah. So the guy kind of, and the old journal that he found, right?
I don't remember that, but
you don't remember the journal with the guy talking
I
about.
may have been eating lunch during this time.
Okay, that's it. Well, needless to say, there was an old journal that talked about this Cain type, this person who came out of the woods. And anyways, I do like the interaction where him and Art Bell started talking about how this could be something like the Bigfoot or so. I just thought it was an interesting story. I thought you had more on the journal. I didn't write that down either, but
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. It was a very interesting. What was interesting was them talking about how the guy looked so miserable, and I keep saying guy, but it was this big hairy, like you said, 9 foot, this big hairy man who seemed intelligent but looked like the most miserable man. It went with the story, like he's roaming the earth in misery, and he's whatever, the story of Cain and Abel, whatever.
How many thumbs up do we have right now, Dino?
Oh, listen, Dave Plouffe, man, he's hooked on the thumbs up. 65 thumbs up. We got to get to 100 real quick.
All right, we'll get there.
Oh, we'll get there. So if you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please hit it. Please hit it. It helps out the channel and the streams for sure. Thank you. Go ahead.
I do want to bring up the absolute worst story on Ghost to Ghost, and I want to see if you agree. I actually thought it was fake.
Oh, okay.
And it really just pissed me off.
Okay.
The guy, first of all, talks about how he just ordered Art Bell's book, The Art of Talk.
Okay.
And he was reading it outside on his porch. He set it down and someone stole it. And he hears the neighbor talking the next day. Hey, have you ever heard of Art Bell? And the neighbor's talking to someone else. And so he goes, that bastard.
Dave freezes up every now and then.
Then he goes on and begins there. Um,
Oh, you're good.
he starts talking about how when he was younger, he went to a religious school out in like the country, and there was a ranch where there was sheep, and all the sheep would eat except for one, which would stand off to the corner, and it would only eat at night. And then he had a pair of night vision goggles, and it was a ghost that was upside down feeding the sheep.
Oh yeah. No, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I hated that story.
I couldn't stand the way the guy was talking and telling it, and it just
Well,
yeah,
at the end, you could tell he was reading the story. And
yeah.
I'm like, you can't read a story
No,
unless you're like petrified. And he didn't seem petrified earlier on when he was
no.
talking normally. And I'm just like, nah, that's a fake story. I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, no. Every now and then you get, and it's few and far between, but you do get the caller who calls in, and you could tell they're reading script or something. But yeah, and it's a bunch of BS. But man, there's a lot. But there's one in particular. I guess I can listen. We're skipping some good ones. There's so many to talk about, but I do like the story that was right before the Cain one. So this man calls in. His grandfather got a big old house. Okay, so they come to visit him with their little kid who was, listen, I don't know, was he 6, 7, somewhere around there? I don't know. But they were getting ready to go skating. Okay. And they were trying to get the kid to skate with them. They're all going to go outside and skate. And the kid started crying when they tried putting it on him, and they put the skates on him, and he just was scared. So he was crying. So they said, okay, we're going to go outside and skate. We'll come back in and check on you or whatever.
Now, did you think this was roller skating or ice skating?
You know what? Actually, they didn't specify.
I didn't know because I listened to that one twice and I couldn't tell. And it almost felt like it was old timey where they were literally attaching the skates to the shoe that was already existing. I just didn't know.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure either. They didn't specify. The word skating was all I heard, and all the other stuff I couldn't really make out, like what you said. But anyways, they went outside and they left the kid sitting there, and he's whimpering and stuff like that. And this is an older house, his grandfather has, and all of a sudden the kid sees there's this closet across the way, and this is the man telling the story when he was a little kid. He said he looked over and there's a closet, and it was an older closet that didn't have a door, but it had a curtain on it. And he said out of nowhere, this old woman came out and she was smiling. She had a brooch. She was, she just looked like a nice old lady, smiling, all that. Didn't say nothing. But came up to the boy and smiled and took off the skates and put his shoes on, and gave him a little like underneath the chin, good boy, you know what I mean? But couldn't say anything, and walked back over to the closet, and his parents, hearing that he's calmed down or whatever, came back in, but she gave a good wave and she's back in the closet. And the cool part of this is that a little bit later on, he talks about going up with, I forget who, his dad or somebody. He goes up and they go through a trunk, because he did tell them when they came in that he's seen the old lady there, and the grandfather did say, well, that's your grandma. And so and then he moved on from the story from there, as they went up and they found a trunk, and the trunk had a picture in there, and they looked at it and they saw grandpa, and next to him was grandma, and he said that's the woman that came out of that closet.
Yeah.
So
she had died before he was born or something along those lines, because she had throat cancer.
Yeah, and that's why she couldn't talk.
Right.
So, and she would always come up and tickle the kids because she had a lot of family. So she would usually do that. You know, first thing is, I think it's a really cool story, just that a family member, you know, could come and, you know, interact with this little kid like that. I just a sweet kind of ghost story, you know?
It was very comforting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then you talk about her coming out of the closet, and then it just starts to get a little bit more spooky, you know. It's like coming out of closets. What do you do coming out of closets? What's she hiding in the closet or something? Either way. But yeah, no, I just thought that was a really, really good story and kind of comforting. And you know, boy, I mean, something like that happens. Like, how can you know, the rest of your life, you're just going, wow, you know, I know there's something more. So the lucky ones, but
Yeah, and it is, you know, it's one of those things that I hope happens to me still, even though I'm older now.
yeah.
Because, like, growing up, my mom's family was the only family that I had grandparents and great grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
and aunts and uncles and cousins. My dad's family had pretty much already passed away.
Okay.
My dad's mom died when he was 16. His dad died when he was 5. Just, you know, just a horrible short life. And I never had those grandparents, but I would really have loved to have seen them. And I hope that someday when I pass on, that we get to interact at least a little bit, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I have pictures of them and everything like that. So,
well, I think the only way that's going to happen is if you open up a bit more. And listen, you're a busy guy, you know, you're a paranormal gardener, a professor, and we can go on and on and on all night long with what you are, your titles. But I mean, geez, but you technically have to open yourself up to that kind of, you know, stuff to happen, you know, to even try.
Schedule it.
You know, at this point in our lives and stuff like that, we're too busy, Dave, and we're thinking of other things and other stuff going on. I think the people, especially the older you get, up into a certain age, and then I think it opens up a bit more. I think once you know, retire, and then you've got more time on your hands, and you get a little bit closer to death, you know, things open up again, just like when you were a child. But those years in between, and we're still there. We're still in that stage where it's a busy life every day. We got no time for that. But you open yourself up to that, and you actually do take time. I think there is a chance that you can start having experiences, you know, but depends what kind of person you are. If you're too scared to open up for those types of experiences, and I'm talking about just, you know, doing stuff like trying to astral travel, getting into deep meditation, you know, visiting places that are haunted, and you know, doing some investigations on your own and stuff like that. It's not easy to do, right, Dave? But I think that's what needs to be done.
Now, let me ask you one question deeper.
Yeah.
Being a father yourself, when your kids were young, did they ever have any paranormal experiences that you remember? Did they have invisible playmates? Did they, you know, anything like that?
Yeah. First, dang free. Didn't know you guys went live. This is cool. Oh my God. We're live I'm live at least 3 nights a week, at least. So yeah, we go live Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays for sure. So yes, dang free. Good to have you. And yes, Nalita is a very cool name. Scaretta, Native American, Italian. So there you go. Anyways, it's funny you say that. I don't talk about it much, even to the kids, because I don't, you know, they're not all like me. They don't like to hear things like that. But there was a point with my oldest where she was, oh God, I don't like talking about certain things. But yes, there was a time where there was talk going on, and she was very, very little. And it's only because she must have been talking to something.
Yeah.
And it was a very interesting experience, as I didn't hear nothing, see nothing, but it's like you hear a lot of stories where they're sitting there and they're talking, and you know, if you look and you plop a physical person there, now it makes sense. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So yeah, that happened once, and I'm a little bit different. I kind of let those things go. Nothing really drastic or anything like that happened, but yeah, that's just
There's going to be an upcoming Ghost to Ghost, one of the later ones. Oh, I'm sure we'll get to it 6 months to a year from now.
yeah,
Where this guy calls in via Skype, and um, his daughter has a playmate that they have tea together with, and like let's say his name is Oscar, and she goes, Oscar doesn't like you smoking in his garden, and the dad was like freaked out because he goes, I smoke very little. I only smoke in the middle of the night when she's asleep, and
yeah.
I smoke outside the house so no one knows. And having that happen, it was just very, very, what a great ghost story that was. But
Oh
again,
yeah,
that's one of the later ones, like 2013 or 15 or something like that.
yeah. No, there's plenty more to go. That's for sure. Yeah, is it somebody's birthday? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, man, it's a shame we couldn't get to a lot of this stuff. And I was going to go deep into another topic that I experienced when I was younger too. And I wondered how many people went through this type of experience, but I'm not even going to talk about it because it would go on probably for 15 minutes.
Oh no.
But a story kind of brung it up because, yeah, no, I'm not going to, it entails something, about when you're sick, when people are really sick, they're on that edge, you talk about the fever dreams, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When your body's, or traumatized, you're traumatized or you're abused or something like that, uh, a fever dream, your body's almost kind of disconnecting from your physical body, and I just wondered how many people actually, went through that, because I don't know I didn't even write down what kind of spurred on that thought process during listening to this, but probably brought back a memory to me because I could probably do a whole show on talking about that, because everything that I endured when I was a child, I did that. And it's like a fever dream. When bad things are happening, you disconnect, and I almost wonder, as we go through these shows, paranormal shows, and we talk about the other side, and there's limbo, and then there's dimensions, or it's like, because I know I went somewhere that didn't feel of this earth, you know what I mean? And it was a way of trying to escape what was going on. And like when you're sick, maybe you can't help what's going on, so you can't control it. But when there's abuse or trauma, you're traumatized or something like that, you tend to try to escape. And when you're younger, you can do that a little bit easier. And it's when it happens, you're moving into a different space, a different time, a different space. It feels so different than anything, and it's happening. So, and I try to push this along all the time in a lot of the things I talk about when I get serious, because in ways I know that there's something more to all of this. We're not just pieces of meat, bags of meat, which a lot of people say, on this planet, just walking around until the day we die. There's a lot more and very intricate stuff going on that we just don't understand. And not that I'm trying to assure people that, listen, things are going to, listen, I don't know anything what's going to happen. You know what I mean? But just the fact that I know that stuff happened and other people deal with it, the same way. And some of the callers too, that have gone through things that, again, I wish I would have known why that popped up in my head, but I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the movie Contact when they say, "Is there any life out in the universe?" And
yeah,
their response is, "Well, that's an awful lot of space for nothing to be there." And I think it's very much like how we are here. It's like, if we just died and that was it, I'm going to be pissed.
Oh, well, you're not going to be pissed because you're not going to
True.
you're not going to be alive.
You're like, what?
But listen, I don't even believe that. Listen, energy never dies. We've talked about this many, many times. So in one way or another, something's left behind and something moves on. That's all I have to say. There's a part of us that is always going to be here, and there's a part of us that's going to move on and become something else. So that's my way of putting it. Boo Pup, happy birthday to Boo Pup. Happy birthday to you. It can be my birthday. Oh wait, just kidding. Listen, you guys are confusing me. Anyways, I hate that people don't give credit to art for. I hate that people don't give credit to art for his innovation in podcasting when he collaborated with Real Audio to have streams with his shows available in the late 90s. Joe, what do you think we're doing? We dedicate streams all the time to Art Bell, so I'm doing my part. Listen, and listen, I might disagree a bit on that. I think Art Bell's going to go down as a legend.
I don't know. Already a legend.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's nobody that's gotten close to him. And I don't see anything in the future that's going to change that. Everything's become different and commercialized.
Well, you know what pushed him over the edge? The Talking Art Bell podcast.
Yeah. Well, don't say that. I mean, listen, I was trying. But yeah, no, listen, he was too much going on. Art Bell was a complicated man, and I wish we had more of him that we could still keep holding on to, but we have enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's
I
great
would love, as a ghost, now that you mention it, to go back in time. I would love to hang out with Art Bell during one of his broadcasts, just to have all the machines around me and, the transmitters out in the backyard.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt, man. It's Art Bell is legend. That's all I have to say. And we didn't get to half of the stories, but I tell you what, this was a good show. 1997, part 2, Halloween, October 31st of 1997. This was a very good Ghost to Ghost. So, yepers, Dave. What do we got next week? We have
Kolchak the werewolf next week.
Yes, Kolchak, the werewolf. We will be talking about that episode as we are going through the entire season. The only season we ever got from Kolchak, which is...
We're lucky to have that.
I know, right? Yeah, still around. So, yeah, and then just check out the online. A detective mix tonight. Really good mix. If you're still feeling in the mood for the spooky stuff, last night's stream was fantastic. Everybody loved it. Yeah, make sure you're checking out my shorts too. I'm doing a series of classic, actors and actresses in the shorts, and it's only 60 seconds, but quick enough to get a nice little tidbit of information about each one of these actors. So, very cool stuff.
And is there another Clue Club coming up?
Yes. Clue Club tomorrow night. It's not posted yet, but finishing touches tonight, and Clue Club up tomorrow. And Astroville should be at the end of Friday. Listen, sometimes there might be a skipped week because I'm writing so much stuff and doing all this stuff. So anyways, check out the week. Lots of stuff going on. And me and Dave will see you next Sunday. And Stump Paul Ham on Thursday. So if you guys got hard questions and you want to stump them for horror movies, please do. But we're going to have fun to try to stump Paul Ham. Dave Ham. What the heck's wrong with me?
That's his brother.
Yeah, that's his brother, Dave Ham. Okay. So with that said, as always, good to have all of you guys and gals in the chat. Until next week, peace, right, Dave? Yeah,
that's it. And just say no candy corn.
And